All right, welcome back to video 3 for Goal Setting 101. We're looking at page 3, and if you're just finished watching the video for page 2, you'll have just completed question, what is your main goal you wish to achieve? And the question, what sort of resources do you need to achieve? Do you need to achieve your goal? Or if you do not know the resources, is there an expert or professional you could speak to about your goal? So now that you've done some of the groundwork for those two questions, you're going to utilize what you've created in those. And as you're writing things down, as you're trying to formulate what is your goal and what you may need for it, you probably started getting some images in your head. So if you flip over to page 3, there's a question that says, what does the future you who has achieved your goal look like? How does the future you talk about their experience in achieving that goal? How do you look? How do you dress? What are your days like? How does that differ than your current state? So this is where we're going to start really start envisioning what we will look like when we've achieved our goal. And if you remember from one of the previous videos, you really actually step into the role of this new potential in yourself. So, and to be able to do that, you need to step into a role. So if you, to continue on with our fitness example, if your job is to have a beach body for summer, how do you envision yourself once you've achieved that goal? What does your day look like, for example? Do you get up in the morning and go for a jog? Maybe you have a fruit smoothie in the morning. You go for that jog. You do a meal plan. Maybe you go to the gym twice a week, maybe practice some meditation or some sort of evening exercise or routine. Who knows? So you could have a whole bunch of different conceptions of what this healthy you looks like. And the more you start visualizing, that visualization is actually going to help you go back to step 1 and 2, both those questions, and write in anything you missed. So you could have, for example, said, yeah, I want to be this ready for this beach weather. And when you start envisioning, you may think, maybe you're playing some beach volleyball and you're in this envisionment of this beach body person that you've turned out to be. And then you were like, oh, wait, no, I've never really played volleyball. Is volleyball important to my goal? Well, if maybe that is important to your goal, maybe you're going to take some volleyball lessons as a part of your exercise. And it may seem trivial, you could do volleyball versus jogging, but if volleyball is something you would enjoy, something that would be life-giving, you're more likely to do that than if, jogging is something you're just kind of doing because it's exercise. There's a part of this that you want it to become natural, and a part of this envisioning, your brain and your soul and your being is going to let you know what is going to, bear fruit for you. So what this goal is or this question is guided to do is force you to put that down on paper. Start taking those images out of your head and putting them down onto your sheet. So now if you look at the sheet itself, I've given you a big blank page here. Or you could even work in your journal for the same thing. You can work in your journal to write and draw. And yeah, draw. I said draw. And the reason I say draw is because we're not always best at taking those images and putting them to words. Now, for example, here's an example I did for the in-person class. If you want to become a beach bod type, there's beach bod Jake. Okay, that's me. You can check out the glasses. So I've gotten all ripply for the beach. I look like a Baywatch guy there, and I've written muscles right there. And then I've drawn some other images. Well, maybe I'm jogging. So there's me. I kind of look like I'm fleeing from something, but that's supposed to be me jogging. And I put the sun with an arrow implying morning. So I'm going to go jogging in the morning. And I also drew in some broccoli. So I'm obviously eating healthy too. But there's other things. Like I said, I'm at this beach lodge, and so I'm wearing some swim trunks. And I got some shoes or sandals for the beach. I got my sunglasses. Well, if you've never really gone to the beach before, looking at this image, it implies that your future self is comfortable with the beach. They know what they're doing there. So there's a new area of learning for you to develop. Now, let's say yours doesn't have to do with physical fitness. I've been using that as my main example. But let's say it has to do with your work. Let's say you want to kind of grow in the ranking at your work. You want to maybe get a promotion. Well, what they often recommend to people in the business world is that you're going to try to walk and talk like the people you're trying to become in the working world. So if your bosses come to work in a suit and tie and they're always on time and they're always you know, very pragmatic and very diligent with their work, then that is how you need to act as well, because they're going to want to see that you have the capacity to essentially be them. Now, that doesn't mean their personality, but it does mean their work ethic. Now, if you have a coworker named Jim, and Jim comes in late every day, and he's just kind of the office clown, he doesn't really do his work, he parties late on a Sunday night and doesn't get in bright and early on the Monday morning, and he's just not the best employee. Who are you going to want to emulate? Do you want to emulate your boss or the people who have a higher rank than you at your job who act and work in a certain professional manner, or are you going to want to emulate Jim? The answer to that question is kind of obvious. You're going to want to kind of walk the walk and talk the talk of the people you're trying to be similar to. Just like, and then going back to the fitness model, if I wanted to become muscle bound Jake, well, those type of people who have the big showy muscles, they have a particular lifestyle, which involves going to the gym. It involves particular diets that are different than other diets. It's a whole lifestyle. So I'd have to start living and acting in that lifestyle, and you're basically taking on a new role for your definition of self. And like I said in the previous video, it's not that you're becoming something you're not. You're just awakening a potential that's in yourself. You have a certain potential to reach certain things. And so if you're wanting to advance in the business world, then you're trying to tap into that hidden potential within yourself. And the goal setting and envisioning is going to help you pick out those things that you may not already do. So you may not already dress professional in your career, or maybe you just dress at the minimum of professional, or maybe you don't pay attention to your facial hair. Maybe if you're a fellow out there, maybe you let your facial hair grow and you come in with stubble or something like that. It doesn't look super professional to all the bosses you're with. Little things like that, little details, will really help you, because once you start walking that walk, once you start talking that talk, you're going to start believing it. There's an old saying that fake it till you make it. Now, I don't like that saying, because I believe that the concept of faking it implies that it's ingenuine. With this potentiality that we have in ourselves, this ability to transform, it's just a reality that you haven't come in contact with. It's not ingenuine, it's just an experience. So give yourself that practice of walking the walk and talking the talk. But before you can do that, you have to envision what that would be. So take some time. I did one for myself. As you remember, I drew this diagram before, but I did another one here. And this is future me. And right now, this is real. These are some of my goals. So right now I want to finish school, which is up here. And by April is my deadline. I'm hoping to finish my master's degree by the end of April. If that doesn't happen, I know I can push it about 3 or 4 months later, but this is my ideal goal. And I want to get to graduation too, and I actually showed the graduation cap and gown. It's one thing to finish a master's degree, but I actually didn't go to my Master's of Divinity graduation because I was out of town. So I really want to get out to this one so I can have that experience. And so I actually drew myself in the cap and gown. And then, as you'll notice, I have a collar here, and my ordination is coming up in May. So that's another one of my goals I'm looking to achieve soon, and that's coming up. And so I put a calendar of June 2019 over here, because by June 2019, I should be both done school and my ordination process. And I also drew a little house. Now, my wife and I are hoping that within this year that we will be able to buy a house. So these are some visualizations of my goals, my personal goals, put down here. And it may seem silly to draw them out, but for me, I actually didn't really think about, do I want to be at graduation, until I drew this little picture of this grad guy. And then I realized that maybe that was something I wanted, and that just happened today while I was prepping for this course. So by visualizing it, by writing it down, by making drawings, it really helps get the clutter out here onto the page, and allows you to think more clearly about what you want to achieve. So take some time to do that on your booklet here. Like I said, I did provide you with a space, but feel free to also do it in your notebooks as well if you have one. And it will really provide you with some clarity. Now, like I said, if all of a sudden you discover by doing this process that, hey, there's something I didn't think about in question 1 or 2, then you can actually go back and write that in, or you can rewrite the whole thing on a new page in your booklet. Feel free to do that. And that process of reworking your goals is very important to goal setting, because with goal setting, things change all the time. You may have an ambition, but you're going to come across roadblocks and hurdles and challenges and celebrations, and all of which will shift and change how you can approach your goal over time. And you need to get into that habit of being comfortable of going back to the beginning and saying, okay, that didn't work, or hey, now I got some new information. How can I restructure this goal so that it will most benefit me? How can I restructure this plan so I'm most likely to achieve that goal? So that means going back to stage 1 and redefining your goal, or going to stage 2 and redefining what resources and supports you need, or if that involves sitting back down and drawing some more images, you can do that over and over and over again until you're comfortable. You can start working towards your goal, and then if something comes up, you can do that process again. There's no limitation to how many times or how few times you can do this. But what's most important is once you have done it, or once you got some of these stages, that you actually put it into action. And we're going to start talking about that next in our next video on how to do that. So thank you for checking in on this. This was page 3. Page 4 is coming right up in the next link.